Hello, everyone. We have the former fielding coach of the Indian cricket team, R. Sridhar, with us today. It's going to be a chat about fielding, about the way he's transformed fielding with the Indian team over the last few years. I guess you've all seen it, and he's the man behind it. So we'll talk about that and much more looking ahead. But first up, how does it feel to be watching the Indian team on TV from far away, not being on the ground, not being in the thick of it?
Hi, Ritvik, and hello to everyone. And yeah, I saw the two T20 games sitting at home, and it was good. It was good to watch on TV. Although we are at the ground, we still watch the match on TV for our from the dugout. So, but watching them in a different environment, sitting at home and watching was something nice. Yeah, it is good. It's been a great 7 years, and it's time to watch them on TV and enjoy now.
Perfect. So you spoke of the great 7 years. Just to elaborate a bit on that, how do you look back at your time with the team? It's been 7 years since you took over in 2014. How do you describe your moments? How do you describe the phase that you had with the team?
I can't describe it in words. It's been a fabulous 7 years in terms of my experiences. It was probably the best phase of my coaching career without an iota of doubt, and I enjoyed every bit of it. It was a bumpy ride. Sometimes it was smooth. It's like a roller coaster. But yeah, all that was needed to make it a special ride, and it was indeed a special ride. And yeah, you come back. I'm finishing as a better coach with more experience, having made more memories, which you will relish forever. So, overall, it's been fabulous. I can't ask for anything more. 300 matches,
Right.
300 plus matches as part of the Indian cricket team, and and more than 7 years as longest serving skills coach for India. So I was quite proud as well.
Brilliant. So when you took over in 2014, what did you tell the boys with regards to your vision for the fielding standards that you had for the team? And what was the response like from the management, from the boys, in terms of what they wanted to see as well?
Look, obviously when I joined, MS was the captain, and all I needed to do was go to him and have a chat with him with regards to his vision and where he wants every player to be. That's exactly what I did. And my job was to match the standards of the team with the vision of the leader. So once I knew what his vision was, once I knew where his team should be for the 2015 World Cup, although I was not sure whether I'm going to be there, but I shared that information with Mahi, and then I started working on those lines. So it was quite easy for me. It was not about my vision, it was about Dhoni's vision. And similarly, when Virat took over, it was about his vision, and my job was to match the energies of the team, match the skills of the team, and marry them with the vision of the leaders. And Ravi always made it a point to mention that he wanted the 11 best fielders on the park, and Virat always insisted that fielding is non-negotiable. So it was easy for me to carry out my work in a very smooth manner, and having known the visions of the two leaders, it was very easy for me.
So what was that vision like? What did you set out to do back then? Obviously the leadership evolved, but like you said, the vision remained the same, that you wanted fielding to be an inseparable sort of part of the entire system with the team. So what was the vision? How would you define that vision when you started?
I don't know. It's very difficult. This was the thing. My vision was to get consistency in what we do. So I've always said this. I've told it to you as well in an earlier interview. The immediate challenge, obviously, was to improve the slip catching. We were a very good fielding team in white ball cricket. Even at that time, we were easily the best fielding team in the 2013 Champions Trophy, which was just a year ago in England. So it was very easy for me to get things moving in white ball, but red ball was the challenge. And the challenge in the shorter format was obviously to reduce the gap between your good days and bad days, to being consistent. And that was something we were after.
Right. And you also said, Ravi Shastri was someone who said fielding has to be kind of, it has to be something that is a primary skill and not just looked at as a secondary skill apart from batting and bowling. So did it make your job also easier that, okay, there's this entire leadership group that is in the same boat in a way that you are or you want them to be in?
100%. It made my job a lot easier, and it made my job more enjoyable. And they gave me a free hand. One thing with Ravi is he doesn't interfere with what you do. He just tells you what he wants, and then he gives you a free hand so that you can deliver. So working there was extremely rewarding experience.
Right. You mentioned the slip catching. Obviously, that was one of the key areas that needed some sort of improvement. We especially saw in places like England where the slip cordon struggled a bit. So, what did you do specifically in that area to improve the level there? Just talking about the slip cordon.
I mean, for starters, our slip catch conversion rate was about 64 to 67% across various conditions. Today it stands at 83 to 84%. So I would take those numbers as, if we take them as indicators, that's a good improvement of more than 20%. Kind of improved of more than 20%. That's one part. Two, so the process of doing that was getting consistency in the personnel who are stationed at slips, getting them to practice the various qualities required to be a good slip fielder, getting them to understand the nuances of the conditions and stuff like that. So that's a process which goes on an everyday basis. Mm-hmm. So there are n number of catches: tennis balls, soft balls, cricket balls, light balls, heavy balls, catching behind the body, catching when it's landing in front. So a lot of these technical things go into it, but a lot of times it could be just a conversation with a player, getting him onto the same page. So yeah, there have been various methods which were used over the last 7 years, and boys have responded brilliantly. I mean, KL, the way he caught in the 2018 England series, or Ajinkya, what he's done over the last few years, or Virat, the way he's improved as a slip fielder, and Rohit Sharma fits in like a glove, and Pujara. So we found a nice consistent slip cordon.
Right. And obviously you're still going to drop catches. You're not going to find a day where you hold everything that comes to you. So as a fielding coach, what do you tell your boys if they've had a day where they spill catches? What is your conversation like when there's something like that?
On that night, there is no conversation.
No conversation. So it's much later that the conversation happens.
So allow the emotions to settle down. Then I do watch the footage. I go and speak to the other players who were around that player as to how he was, what was his reaction, was it difficult, what was the difficulty in that. So get more information, as much information I can get as possible with regards to that. And then sometimes you don't even have to worry about it. You don't have to address it. It is just a drop catch, that's it. But if it is being due to a consistent error, then you want to address it. So sometimes it can just be a batter thinking about his batting because he failed in the first inning, or he's looking forward to his second inning. There could be just a momentary lapse in concentration. Or someone could have had just a bad night or a fight with his girlfriend in the night or something. You don't know. You don't know what their state of mind is, which I don't know, right? So it is very difficult, very unfair for me to sit on a judgmental chair or eat up the catch is whatever. So I need to understand everything else before coming to a conclusion. So yeah, I mean, I take my time before I jump onto the player.
Right. But I'm going to ask you to, if I were to ask you one specific aspect which has seen the biggest improvement from the time you took over to now. Obviously, you said the ground fielding was pretty solid, slip catching had to be worked on. But what's that one area where you feel the team has significantly risen over the last few years?
I think the attitude, the intangibles. I think that aggression and the intense attitude which comes with this team, the way they play their cricket, the way they are on the field, and the body language, the fearless and honest attitude, and being the aggressors from the start. These are the things I would rather be proud of than the number of catches or run-outs or stuff like that. So it is all about the mindset. And like I always said, it's about what you are on the field. It's about you stand out with your body language and how you express yourself on the field. I think that to me is a good takeaway.
Right. Right. Very interesting. You mentioned attitude, intensity. So when you have a tournament like the World Cup, where clearly a lot of factors creeping in, bubble fatigue, everyone spoke about it. Ravi Shastri said the spark was missing. So do you sense that obviously all of this shows on the field, right? When the boys are fielding, you know the intensity is just not there. So did you sense that over the last few months that, okay, everything is just kicking in right now?
Not really. I thought just that one game against New Zealand where, like Ravi said, the intent was not there, and because we had a very low score, and when you're defending 110 and nothing's happening on the pitch, it's very difficult for a tired cricketer to bring in that kind of intensity, and you don't blame them. We're all humans. But otherwise, they were good on the field. We didn't drop a catch in the entire World Cup. Not that we got too many in the first two matches, but I'm just saying.
True. Now, again, looking back at the overall picture, not obviously everyone is on the same intensity, in the same skill level in terms of fielding or catching or everything. You have guys where you need to work on a bit more than, say, a Kohli or a Jadeja. So when you have people like that, how do you bring them on a consistent level where the entire team is on one meal, so to say?
So one of the conversations we had, MS was there. One of the conversations we had was, like MS said, although cricket is a team sport, there are elements of I in it. It is about how can I stop those 2 extra runs? What can I do to maintain the intensity? What can I do to maintain the over rate? What can I do to keep the batsman on strike? So there are these elements of I. So if each guy can take care of his own intensity, then the team's intensity is always high, and you don't have to depend on one person to bring in the intensity. So these are the elements which we talk about when things are down. So we have a few drills and few methods to bring the intensity on the field, which I would share in a book.
Right. and you'd also told me earlier that India doesn't have to hide fielders anymore, which was the case earlier. With, let's say, your big tall fast bowlers, even they are safe on the field right now. So could you tell us some of the most improved fielders in your assessment over the years, guys who obviously needed some work, who've done that on the field and now they are safe as a house out there on the park?
See, I would, again, in this bracket, I would bring in a Chahal or a Siraj, or bring in a Bumrah, a Kedar Jadhav while he was there. These are the guys, a Natarajan. These are the guys who come to my mind initially because improvement was shown due to hard work, planning, and programming. Not the Jadejas and the Kohlis. They are good anyway. They don't need a fielding coach, right? They don't just need but these are the guys who needed guidance, who needed a little bit of hand holding when they came in. So, and that is what we are there for. And so these are the names which come to my mind, the way they improved and the way the effort we put in showed results. I'm not saying they became brilliant fielders or they went on to break too many pots, but they improved from where they were at the beginning. So that's a really a good thing.
Right. You obviously mentioned Kohli, and there was one incident you recounted where in Brisbane he caught till he bled in a session. Obviously he defines the word intensity. You can't have too many people like that out on the park. But right now, when he thinks he has too much on the plate, do you ever see that intensity sliding with someone like Kohli, especially when he's not out there on the park as a leader? Do you see the word intensity just dropping a bit for a man like him?
Not really. The boys, they're all representing India. They know they have a job to do. They have a role to play for the team. On the contrary, I think in the absence of Kohli in certain games, the boys have lifted their intensity. So, because they had to make up for one of the teammates who is absent, everyone gave that extra 10% to make up for the 100% which Virat always gives. I think he gives 130%. But I'm just saying. So, on the field. So, each one of them, we always spoke about, okay, our Kohli is not there, and each one is put his hand up and to bring in that extra 10% of intensity to maintain what quality has on the field. So it's always helped. Yeah, I've never seen a moment where it has dropped. Yes, it's never consistent, and that's the way it should be. You can't burn too bright so that you will fuse. So intensity is something which is like a flickering bulb, depending on the situation.
Right. Now, just the final few questions. In 2010, when you joined NCA as a fielding coach, it was something very new. You said at that time. Now, for the overall standard of one particular facet of a game to lift in India, a change has to obviously happen from top to down, right? So, do you believe that has happened in the Indian cricket ecosystem with regards to fielding, where even in places like the NCA or lower level matches, fielding has become on this equal pedestal with the other skills of the game?
Yeah, I do. I think a lot of work has gone in the last a decade or so, right from 2008 when the NCA was revamped, and I did my first stint as a fielding coach in 2008 with the India A team at the NCA and the India Under-19 team at the NCA, and then we did a lot of coach education programs, educating fielding coaches across the country. I visited 26 academies and conducted fielding programs for the states during my time with NCA. In fact, we even curated a fielding course. And every year, each state would send all their fielding coaches of different categories, and we would do courses for them. So we did a lot of work in terms of spreading the awareness at the grassroots level, at the state level, and then once I joined the Indian team, obviously it was a top-to-down effect, and the message was very clear with the Indian team, and young kids were watching the Indian team feel like as good as any other cricket team in the world, and so that inspiration always is there when they see a Virat or a Jadeja or a Raina, for that matter, fielding well, they get inspired. So it was like from both sides, and working at the grassroots level for about 6-8 years, spreading the awareness, and also the fact that BCCI started putting in money on developing very good grounds at every nook and corner of the country. Then IPL is a great coach. IPL is a great physio. IPL is the best trainer. So yeah, with the advent of IPL, kids are watching something magical on TV and they want to emulate that. So multifactorial, but make no mistake, a lot of work had gone in from NCA through the decade, and also from the Indian team. So that has definitely helped in improving the standards of fielding in India. But there is way to go. We need more metrics. We need to quantify fielding a little more. We need broadcasters to do more in terms of data with this show with fielding. I'm not at all happy with it. And and if that comes about in the next 3-4 years, then it'll be even better.
Right. So very interesting. You said there's some work to do more. So what are the things that, especially in the Indian team, with regard to the health of the team going ahead, do you see it just going upwards from here?
With regards to the Indian team, it can't be in a better place with Rahul Dravid taking over. He's a man tailor-made for the job. I think he's got everything and more to be the coach of any international cricket team. Fantastic human being, wonderful analysis. I've worked with him and I just enjoyed every bit of it. And who better than him to take this team forward? He's a figure that every single youngster looks up to. And so it's only going to get better. So I've looked up to him so many times when I wanted some work in slip catching and all. I've always had a chat with him when he was at the NCA. So things can only get better from here with Rahul being at the helm. So yeah, I was talking in terms of, when you show Jadeja, when the broadcasters show Jadeja on the screen or a Virat, they don't show how many runouts he's got, how many runouts he's missed, and how many runs he saved in this year, maybe in the season. We need more metrics. What is the speed over 5 meters? At which phase does Jadeja accelerate? So at which position he's fielded maximum number of balls, where he's done the damage. So there is nothing, which is very unfortunate. Whereas how many percentage of runs Rahul has got on a square drive, how many percentage Rahul has got on a pull shot. Why don't you quantify this? Why don't you say how many catches Rahul has taken at long off, how many catches he's taken at slip? Someone show me. I have the data, but I can use it internally, but I can't give it outside. It's patented property. So I think of data can be given to the consumer with fielding and to make the sport more interesting. I mean, the providers are still sleeping, I guess. Someone has to wake them up.
But interesting, you mentioned all these numbers. You are someone who's always into data. You are always on your laptop on the field, looking at which fielder is saving how many runs. I know you said you could have data from the year, from the last few years of how many fielders saved how many runs. So is that something that is a prerequisite now in this modern coaching world where it's more data driven, where it's more technical, so to say?
I think you can use data can be a friend. Too much information can lead to paralysis as well. So data should be used correctly. It should be interpreted at the right moment. I have so much data, but I don't use it all the time. Let me see, for example, let me show you something. So this is the match between India and Namibia. So I go here. Can you see my screen?
Yes, of course.
So this is the field. 100% of the balls were fielded. There was one fumble, but it was not a misfield. There were 45 good throws, one bad throw. As a team, we took 5 catches, didn't drop any. We missed one directed run-out opportunity, and we saved 19 runs, gave away 2 runs, 1 stumping we missed. And who were the fielders? Virat Kohli had 0.25 points. He saved 1 run. Pant saved 4 runs. Rohit saved 4 runs. Rohit's got 3 catches. So ball by ball I have. So if I click on the ball, I know what is that ball. Like it is over number 6, ball number 3, Rishabh Pant, clean pick, stumping, grade 1 throw. Then I know what are the areas where we stop the balls, who's taken a catch here. I can see Rohit Sharma has taken a catch at covers, diving forward. So, and then I can go up and I can select a player wise. Let's see what Jadeja has done in that game, where he has fielded more number of balls. Okay, take a guess. Where has Jadeja fielded most number of balls?
The point?
The outfield? Let's check Jadeja.
Long off.
Let's see. Jadeja has fielded 14 balls in that game. He's 5 good throws. He saved 1 run. And so he's mostly fielded at point, deep cover, and deep mid-wicket.
Wow.
So I know where Jadeja is more optimal. So I can go. So you want to see a Kohli? I can just click this. I'll see what Kohli has done in this game.
Obviously, wow. And this for every match, every single
match. So I collect data. You know where Kohli has fielded the ball. So he's fielded most of it at cover point. There's a couple of balls at mid-wicket boundary where he's standing as a captain to off-spinner Ashwin. So he's run from mid-wicket and saved a ball here. Clean pick. It's a good throw. Over number 6, ball number 5, ball number 1. So this is every ball. So like this, I have series and data, and I can go to, series reports. I can select this.
This is pretty exhausting.
I can have a T20 World Cup. Let me see improvement areas. We had 7 bad throws in the entire World Cup. 5 times we dived and misfielded. 7 fumble picks in 5 matches. 4 times we misdirected. We missed 1 directed run out. There was 1 stumping missed. Very wide ball, Ashwin down the leg side of Rishabh Pant. It's not a stumping in my opinion, but I got to give that. There's 1 misfield. So this is a series report. So if I click on this, the fumble pick comes, and I know who all have missed it. So if you see fumble pick 7, and if you see India versus Scotland, there have been 2 fumble picks. Rishabh Pant has fumbled a ball when he's keeping stumps. So you can see Rishabh Pant 2 fumbles, and you get the report for that. So yeah, there's plenty of stuff here, plenty going on here. So I'll just stop sharing and go back to.
So you have obviously so much data, exhaustive, extensive, intensive. What do you do with all this? Do you show all this to the players? Do you keep it for self-analysis and how to improve on this? What do you do with so much at your disposal?
I don't show it to the players all the time. There have been times when I send it on the groups for each player. But in one series, I didn't send anything on the group. And guess what? Not a single player asked for it. So what does it tell you? They're not interested in it.
I mean, what does it tell you then?
What does it tell
That
you?
they are,
I've sent it religiously for
that they are aware.
3 years, and then just as a trial, I didn't send it in one series. None of them asked for it.
Does that mean that they are aware themselves?
I don't know. I don't know. I leave the answer to you for your imagination.
It's conjecture.
Conjecture. Yeah. So I mean, there is so much more we can do. It is like the speed of the throw. Like I was telling the other day, you're giving the bat speed. You're giving me the ball traveling off the bat at what speed? Why don't you give me the speed of the throw? And if the throw would have been 10 kilometers quicker per hour, it could have been a run out. So then I know, okay, who throws faster than this fielder? Maybe I'll have him in that position. So there's so many things: speed over 10 meters, speed over 5 meters, velocity of throw, whatever. How many inches is missed the stump from? I'm sure there is technology to do that. I don't have it. I'm not an IT professional, but I did my little bit in terms of collecting data for this team. So, I mean, someone sitting there is listening. They need to get this and make it more interesting for the viewer, for the consumer. End of the day, he's the most important stakeholder, right? The fan. Consumer.
Sure. And I'm sure a kid watching would also love to see something like that.
Absolutely. You put that arc, the ball travels outside the boundary line into how many meters. So why don't you put the same arc from the time the ball leaves the fielder's hand and comes to the wicketkeeper? You know why? You're not showing that. You're not recording that. You're showing the batsman running, or you're showing the crowd reaction. You're not showing that. You don't give importance to fielding. And then when a catch is dropped, you want the team to do well.
Yeah.
I don't agree to it.
So clearly there's a lot of room to improve there and a lot of work to be done there.
I think there is a gap between the way bowling and batting is projected and fielding is projected. That gap has to reduce.
But do you see that reducing overall in terms of, just keeping the broadcasters aside, just on the overall Indian cricket ecosystem?
Yeah, definitely it is reduced in the Indian ecosystem. For the last 10 years, definitely. And there's still work to do.
Right. So finally, the final question: work to do. What work do you plan to do now over the next phase?
I'm very excited about the next phase. And me, Ravi Shastri, and Bharat Tarun have collaborated to open a company called Coaching Beyond Private Limited. It's about coaching. It's got 3 verticals to it. It's basically coaching sport, and we're starting with cricket because therein lies our expertise. It's got 3 expertise. One is brick and mortar cricket coaching academies. And the USP of that will be, we will be there.
Hands-on.
Hands-on. I will be there 8 months in a year or 9 months in 8 months. Let me put it 8 months. In a year, I will be there hands-on. The pilot project, we are opening up 2 brick and mortar centers, one in Hyderabad, one in Chennai, for obvious reasons, because I live in Hyderabad and Arun sir lives in Chennai. That's one vertical. It's going to be 2 very high performance centers available for cricketers of all capabilities, from an elite test cricketer to a grassroots level cricketer. Should be able to come and hone their skills there. We run scholarship programs. We'll run coaching for underprivileged children, for differently able children, for them to come and taste the sport. And the second vertical, and which I'm very excited about as well, is coaching the coaches. There is a huge gap in. You know how many kids play cricket in India?
A wild guess.
Wild guess.
Do
you have a phone beside you?
I have a phone with me. Yeah.
Just check. Just look up how many kids play cricket in India.
Do you want me to Google it?
Just look up. Yes, please.
Wow. Should be improved. Is there an answer to that?
Just check. It's a freewheeling conversation.
Yeah, of course. That is how I wanted it to be. How many kids play cricket? I'm sure you'd have data for that too.
What is Uncle?
Okay, as per the survey, approximately. Wow, this is No, this is 54 crore.
Yes. So you got the number? It's 54 million, 5.4 crores.
Yeah. Wow. So my math is really poor. So that's 5.4 crore.
5.4 crores kids between the age of 13 and 21 play cricket and aspiring to play for India, play cricket in India. 5.4 crores. That's 2 times the population of Australia.
Yeah.
Right. So why I'm saying that, how many coaches do we have? How many qualified coaches does India have?
Sure, a lot less.
We have less than 5,000 qualified level 1 coaches. So that is 1 coach for every 10,000 kids. You see that? You see the lag there? You see the gap there?
Yeah.
So there's a huge. So, and also with the new national education policy, sport is no more something you did when you're not studying at school. Sport is a subject. And take a guess which sport most of the kids would choose.
Cricket.
Your guess is as good as mine. So most of the schools there is. So you educate coaches. We're going to give a golden standard certificate for basics of cricket coaching, and with that certificate, I think a lot of young kids, young people, young coaches can find jobs in schools, in different cricket academies, equip themselves with the knowledge. And why we are doing it is because me and Arun have done it. We've been part of the coach education program of BCCI before we joined the Indian team. So, and we roped in Dr. Kinjal Suratwala, who's been head of NCA coach education program back in the 2000s till 2014. So between us and the sport has evolved. We know how it has evolved in the last 7-8 years. So we know the industry standards now, what is required from the coach. We can produce coaches who can in turn produce future-proof cricketers. So there's a huge requirement in the market. So we are into coach education space. So it will be both online learning portals, and there'll be offline on-site. So you can do online level 1, and then you can come to one of our brick and mortar centers and intern with us. You can seek our mentorship, work with us for 4 months, 6 months, 8 months, and then you hone your coaching skills. We'll put you through a varied program. You go back as a better coach. And once you're on a rooster, we will probably find you a place to work and get you a job.
Oh, nice.
So coaching the coaches is something which I'm after. It will take time to do it, but definitely we are doing it. There is no two ways about it. And the third vertical is giving away franchises. Once we have 100, 120 coaches, so we could have satellite centers, expand our brick and mortar projects into more satellite centers wherein coaches educated by us would be manning. They'll get jobs there. So they will run the programs made by us, tailor-made to that particular city or state or academy. So that way we can tap on more cricketers getting more quality coaching. So these are the 3 verticals which Coaching Beyond will have, and I can't wait. I can't wait to start it. The first center in Hyderabad will be ready in another 2 weeks. So by December or Jan, high performance coaching should start. So I'm really excited about that. Yeah.
So it's like a full circle for you, going back to the grassroots and starting the cycle again.
Absolutely. The full circle. Starting at grassroots, doing all the hard yards, going right at the top. Maybe just a senior ICC trophy is missing. I have a junior one. I don't have a senior one. Maybe that. It's always good to have something missing in your cupboard. Coming full circle, coming back to where we started, and I'm very passionate about it, and that's my calling. So I'm going to do that.
Right. So
and obviously IPL. And obviously I'll do. Why I said 8 months, I'm leaving those 3 months for the IPL.
There's always the IPL around, isn't it?
There is something to do there as well. Yeah.
Yep. And it's bigger and better.
So you're already seeing my logo, right? The Coaching Beyond logo, you can see it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I could spot that. Nice. Brilliant. So on that full circle note, to wrap up this conversation, as usual, pleasure talking cricket with you, pleasure talking fielding with you, Sridhar sir. Thanks for sparing the time, and good luck with what holds you in the future.
Lovely speaking to you, Ritwik. Great energy. Always love to have a chat with you. Freewheeling. It's always been freewheeling when we have a chat. And actually, I can't wait to go back and coach some batting and some bowling. I've been only hitting balls and sticking to only fielding, just playing my role and not overacting with the Indian team. So now I'm looking forward to going and coaching batting and bowling at the grassroots level.
Brilliant. So have fun with that, Sridhar sir, and take care.
Thank you, Ritvik. Wonderful speaking to you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you.